Thank you, Anne, for the introduction, and good morning, everyone. So I was already introduced, but my name is Jasmien. Oh, we're going the wrong direction. So I'm very pleased to give you a very short presentation and an introduction to circularity. It's only 15 minutes, so I think it will work out if we all stay focused. My name is Jasmien. I am the co-founder of the agency MASJIEN. We work on fashion, sustainability and technology. My focus is mainly on sustainability. I've been advising fashion companies in their sustainability strategy for the past 10 years. My co-founder Anne is working on technology, and we also like to bring people together. As today, for example, we like to drive innovation, collaboration, and spark conversations about the future of fashion. So, a regular keynote would start with me asking you all, what is circular fashion? Now, I'm not gonna ask you to answer it out loud, but I just want to think you about this question. What do you think circularity means? And I've asked this question maybe 200 times already before to different people and different audiences, different conversations. And when I ask this question, the answers that I receive most are, I think it's closing the loop, using old garments and recycling them into new garments. Or it's maybe using leftover fabrics or leftover garments to create new garments. Or finally, maybe it's using waste from other industries or waste from the fashion industry to create something new with it. Or, and I'm sure you don't understand Flemish, but this is a picture a friend of mine sent me. It's at a Primark store, or as Primark would like to say, we make our clothing circular, so the world keeps spinning. Yes, Primark. I think we all know Primark is not the best example or the frontrunner when it comes to sustainability or circularity in the fashion industry, but then what is it? What is it about? And I think this visual, it's from Circular Flanders. It illustrates it really well. So the current linear system we're in, it's the first one. It's a take, make, waste system. We create waste. We moved already to a recycling economy where we try to have different waste streams and recycle our wastes into something new. But actually, circular economy is about not creating any waste at all. We want to try and focus on longevity, on high quality, and try to avoid waste in every step of the production cycle and when normally garments become end-of-life phase. Now, Vanessa Friedman once told at the Global Fashion Agenda that we should try to make sustainability more sexy. Who can do that better than Katy Perry, I thought. So there's a reason why there are more R's on this slide, and it's because we have what we call in waste hierarchy. It's not sexy at all, but we have a different R hierarchy, what we call. It's an R ladder, and it looks like this. So what you should think about when you're talking about waste management, but definitely also about circularity, is that we first try to reduce, then we try to reuse, and then we try to recycle. Now, we also have an extended version, including 5 R's. And as waste is not sexy at all, I'm going to try to translate it to the fashion industry for you guys, so you can see how this also applies to the fashion sector. So as you can see, recycle is all the way down. So this is our last resort. It's the final thing we want to do before we want to avoid creating waste. We want to avoid fashion being shipped to landfill or being burned. That's the last resort. We try to recycle it into new garments. Only 1% of all textiles at this point is being recycled into new textiles, so it's not that easy yet. But we do have good examples, and we mainly see them in the denim industry. There's a reason why the denim industry, because it's a very impactful segment. We use a lot of water, a lot of chemicals. There is a very high impact in denim. That's also why this segment realized very early stage that they should start innovating and looking for recycling techniques to lower their impact. This is the Belgian brand Honest, for example. They collect denim pants, they recycle new yarns into new yarns, so shred it first, new yarns, weave new fabrics, and then make new denim out of it. And they also try to do it via eco-design principles. So thinking about the end of life of the garment, they use unscrewable buttons, reusable buttons. They don't use any rivets in metal to make the recycling process easier. The second step in our hierarchy is, after recycling, repurposing. The least sexy word we can use for this is upcycling. Upcycling, we don't like this word, but it's really gaining traction, and we also see very good examples, also very fashionable examples of repurposing. One example is Buziga Hill. It's a Uganda-based fashion label, and their first project was called Return to Sender. So what they did was they collected garments, they redesigned them into new fashionable items, and then they resent them to the global north, where we, in the beginning, sent them to Uganda as waste. Then, one step up, we have reuse. We all know second-hand market is booming. We see a tremendous rise in second-hand, which is a good thing because we learn to prolong the life of our garments. We see new business models rising, but also we see some good rental initiatives popping up. And this is a UK-based initiative called HER. And this uses the same mechanisms as Airbnb, for example, and they try to add a social element to it. So you can rent and lend yourself and chat with other users on styling tips for those items. They also have a corner at Selfridges. That's what you can see on the image. And then reduce. If we want to prolong the life of our garments, we of course also have to invest in repair. When something is broken down, we shouldn't just throw it out, but maybe we can replace a button, fix a zipper, and so on. The French platform Tilly, they have an online platform with over 600 of artisans, couturiers, leather experts, and you can online indicate what repair you want to have done. Then they give you an estimate, and then you can either ship your item, or if you're in a location where it's possible, they will send a couturier to you to make it for you. They also work together with brands to help them implement repair services for them. And then the final step, and this is the most important one and the most difficult one for our industry, as our business model is based on production, consumption, trends, fast, more. This one is the most difficult one. It's the refuse phase. So we saw a rise in the amount of garments that we produce in the past years. So from 2000 to 2019, we doubled. And the Textile Exchange also predicts that we will see a tremendous rise to 2030 still. So the global fiber textile production in million tons in 2019 was 109 million tons. Now you all go like, whoa, that's a lot. No, you don't, because you have no clue how much it is, or that's the case in my case. So what I like to do is compare this to something maybe you can relate to. And now I'm going to ask you the most easy question someone will ask you today. What's this? Yeah, the Titanic, of course. If we would compare this number, 109 million tons of textile fibers, how many Titanics do you think it is? Anyone have an idea? 1,000? More or less? Wow, this is the most quiet audience I've ever seen. No guesses at all. Are you all scared? More than 2,000 times the Titanic. So this is just to give you an idea of the gigantic volumes we're facing, and which are, in the end, the biggest problem we're facing in this industry. We can try to do things better incrementally, but we also need to slow down. We need to produce less, we need to consume less, we have to go slower. And that's why the European Commission, they wrote a vision for 2030, And the baseline from Ursula von der Leyen in this vision is fast fashion is out of fashion. And as you can see, they're really targeting a certain business model because this business model is really based on overconsumption and overproduction. What can you read? We're not going to go into depth because then 15 minutes wouldn't be enough. But what can you read in this vision for textiles that's important to know is that there's a heavy focus on longevity. So investing in high quality materials, high quality garments. There's a focus on recyclability, but again, a strong emphasis on trying to reduce fast fashion. They want to avoid having hazardous substances in our garments, have a focus on reuse and repair mechanisms. And it's important that the producers take the responsibility and they will not only focus on the environment, which we're talking about a lot today, but there's also a heavy impact on a social level, as we all know. So this is also included in the vision of Europe. This is an overview of different legislative and non-legislative elements the Commission is working on as we speak. So as of this year and the coming years, you will see a lot of these measurements coming into practice. And I highlighted some of them because I think those maybe you already heard of because they get a lot of press attention. For example, the Commission is working on eco-design guidelines, making sure that we will design in a different way. There's a strong emphasis on the digital product passport, trying to create transparency in the value chain, trying to make sure that we know as consumers, but also as sorters, as recyclers, what's in our garments and how we can treat them. There's a ban on the destruction of unsold goods, overproduction. We already have greenwashing directives, but they're getting stronger. The Green Claims directives are being adjusted so that communication will be better. There's a due diligence guidelines and there's a focus on extended producer responsibility. So there's an entire set of measurements that's now pushing the industry to really change for the better. And that's what we need. We need a system shift. We need an entire industry to start thinking differently. And it sounds like it's very overwhelming and it's not possible, but we've seen it before. It's only not so long ago we can imagine that we could still smoke on planes or in trains or smoke a cigarette in between meals in a restaurant. We cannot imagine that today, so we can do it, but it requires a lot and it requires actions from all players. So we see policy moving, but we also see companies, consumers, and press. We need them all to move towards this different kind of industry. And sometimes it feels overwhelming, definitely because you're only one person and you feel like what I'm doing in my work or in my private life, it doesn't matter. It's just useless because on a large scale, it will not change anything. And that's why I want to wrap up my presentation with a quote from an artist saying, "Great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together." Thank you all for your attention. My name was Jasmien from MASJIEN.